I'll be honest, this episode of SukaSuka might have been one of the weakest episodes of the series so far, but I think the ending definitely makes the entire journey of this episode worth it. What's really weird about this episode is I don't think the pacing's off. I heard some people say the pacing of the series is kind of all over the place. That's not what I feel. I just felt like the tonal shifts in this episode were a little weird because the majority of the episode we're just walking with Willem and the girls throughout this town. It feels like it's trying to be like a self-aware comedy at times, and then it's like this whole mini action scene with Willem literally using coins going bang, but it's actually him flicking coins to take out these bad guys who are pretty much terrorizing this one girl's father. And I thought that was entertaining, but it felt a little weird. But I did like it overall, once you see Willem take out these guys, because this entire time he's saying I don't want to get involved, you can't just use violence. So then to see him actually plan this, to get out to a secluded area to get them to follow him so he could take them out with force, I thought it made the whole weirdness of their little adventure around the town worth it, because you saw he had a plan all along. It didn't feel like we were just wandering in the town for no reason, because for a while I was why are we watching them get food? Why are we following this kind of slice of life adventure in the town? So when you do see Willem take them out, it's okay, he had a plan to lure them to this secluded location so then the weird cops can take them away. But it's it just felt like a really weird episode. But by the end, I was happy I watched the episode because I love the confession. I absolutely loved it, because I also read some people on Reddit saying they felt like the confession came out of nowhere, but I thought it was pretty damn clear that, Catholi actually liked Willem. I mean, the fact that she slapped him, it was the tsundere moment, she's oh, I didn't want you to confess, I'm trying to hide my feelings. But of course, how she looks at Willem, and we pretty much think Willem looks at her the same way, or pretty close. So the confession at the end of when Willem's why are you being around me, why aren't you, acting differently, and she says, well, because I love you. And I thought the confession was actually really damn good, and I thought it made sense. I didn't think it came out of left field. I actually thought it worked, because I felt I knew how this character felt towards our main character, and I actually really liked how they framed it with the lighting and everything. I thought it was a really beautiful scene, and of course it was pretty emotional when they have to say goodbye, because Willem's I'm not going to go with you to one of these military guys, and then he says a name that Willem recognizes, and I don't know what that name's going to be, if Willem's ever going to see her again, what's going to happen, but essentially they have a promise that they'll see one another again, but Willem's crying, and we don't see him cry, but the other guy makes mention of it, and then we hear a smack, so implying that he punched him in the face for making fun of how he looks when he cries. So it's going to be interesting what they're going to do with our heartstrings in the coming episodes, ultimately what this new character is going to bring because of this name. It seems very important. But I will make note, when we saw the bit of animation near the beginning of the episode when we were watching Catholi and the other girls fight, I didn't really like how it was animated. The overall art quality, it was what we would expect with this series, but just the way they were animating blood, it just felt very, you grabbed the red bucket tool and just pasted it. There was no shading to it. It just felt, I don't even know what to kind of explain it as, almost just cartoony, but it's we are watching a cartoon at the end of the day. I know it's anime, but it's a cartoon, but it just felt there wasn't detail to the blood and how they were animating some of the fight sequences, so it felt very kind of lackluster and just kind of jarring, at least for myself. But we do get the confirmation of how they lost battle. This new beast pops up, and then of course Catholi is blaming herself because she wanted to live, but ultimately everyone agrees no, if you would have just suicide bombed yourself, then it would have caused more issues for us later on. And ultimately their explanation on why it was better for her not to die makes little sense and gives her some of the burden off of her shoulders. But I thought just the beginning and the very end were fantastic of this episode, minus the animation at the beginning. But then the middle stuff, it just felt very weird. It was are we watching a different series? Why are we watching stuff that you would expect would happen off-screen, things like that? But I do think the reveal of him just rounding everyone up to get them into this alleyway so he could take them out by using the coins, pretending he's shooting them, I thought it made sense. It was just watching it up till then, not knowing that he had a plan all along to take these guys out. It was a little jarring, but it made sense by the end. And also just Catholi saying you wanted to fight, didn't you? You don't have to fight anymore. We can fight for you. I thought there was a nice little bit of characterization for Willem, and overall it was a pretty good episode, but I do think it was probably one of the weakest. I can't really say if it was the weakest, but I think it was definitely either the weakest or the second weakest episode so far of the series, but it was still very enjoyable nonetheless, and the confession made it all worth it by the end. But let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Did you love the episode? Was this your favorite, or was this your least favorite episode of the series so far? Before you leave, smack that like button to show your support. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. So until next time everyone, please take care and have a good one.